It is the North London derby. We had an interesting chat about Ewoks earlier, didn't we, Nick? But let's not talk about that right now. It is Arsenal against Tottenham Hotspur. Your commentary team, Harry Simi is there, Bradley Allen's there, Nick Godwin is there. Take it away, Nick.
Thank you, Phil, and well done for navigating a few issues during the last half hour or so, but you wouldn't have known the Phil Parry Swan with those legs paddling keeps the show on the road. Arsenal and Spurs on their way out to a cacophony of noise and fireworks and flamethrowers and banners and all sorts of things. We're going to get North London forever in a few moments' time as well. A special occasion whenever these sides meet. There's no question of that. I always mention at times like this, everyone's got to go to work tomorrow. Everyone's got to glare at the Arsenal fan across the desk or wherever it is you come across football fans in your everyday life. Arsenal and Tottenham fans will have plenty to say to each other today. I wonder what they'll have to say to each other tomorrow. We are ready to go here in North London on BBC Radio London. Let's bring you the two lineups. Arsenal have David Raya in goal. The back four of Jurrien Timber, Gabriel, William Saliba and Miles Lewis-Skelly. In midfield, Thomas Partey and Declan Rice return alongside Martin Odegaard. Leandro Trossard and Raheem Sterling are deployed either side of Kai Havertz as the main striker. For Tottenham, Antonin Kinski makes his Premier League debut. He's played in the League Cup, he's played in the FA Cup, and he's about to play in a North London derby. What a way to introduce yourself to games like this. The back four is Pedro Porro, Radu Dragustin, Archie Gray and Jed Spence, with Pape Sarr and Yves Bissouma sitting. Lucas Bergvall, 18 years of age, in that pivotal role just in front of the two defensive midfielders. Heung-min Son and Dejan Kulusevski supporting Dominic Solanke up front. On the bench for Arsenal, Neto is the goalkeeper. Kieran Tierney, Gabriel Martinelli, Jakub Kiwior, Alexander Zinchenko, Jorginho, Mikel Merino, Nathan Butler, Oyedeji and Ismail Kabaya. For Tottenham, Brandon Austin, Sergio Reguilon, Richarlison, who's been out for a couple of months, James Maddison, Brennan Johnson, Will Lancashire, Mikey Moore, Callum Olusesi and Malachi Hardy. The two sets of players go into their huddle. There are a few more words from the two captains. The two goalkeepers are just pacing around. We'll talk about the goalkeeper briefly. Kinski, Bradley. What a set of games to walk into. Liverpool at home in a semi-final, then Tamworth, and then a North London derby. What a shock for him, possibly a culture shock, a slap in the face. Welcome to English football.
Yeah, thrown straight in. Real pressure on those particular fixtures, and none more so just a few in with this North London derby. There's such a electric, vibrant atmosphere this evening. The red and white flags are up for the home side. They're going to be fiercely determined, because this way may well, this fixture alone, determine the direction of travel with the Premier League title push this season.
Tottenham have their lone trumpeter for moments like this, and Arsenal these days have North London forever. And it really ramps the atmosphere up. It's a great little song, I think, to inject at moments like this. Everybody comes together, so they do it fabulously at Spurs now with the lone trumpeter. And Arsenal with North London forever give a real sense of occasion. And we are off and underway in the 197th North London derby, live on BBC Radio London. A few boos for Heung-min Son, his first touch on the near side. They don't really like him, I think it's fair to say, in these parts, because he scored a lot of goals in these fixtures over the years. 8 goals in North London derbies. And he is going to have a key role today if Spurs are to get something. That's a rather clumsy challenge by Spence on Sterling, just down in front of us, deep inside Tottenham territory, and a free kick to the Gunners early on in this contest, which has the home supporters on their feet early on. We've played for about 45 seconds and Martin Odegaard is standing over this, about 7 or 8 yards in from the touchline and about 30 or 35 yards from goal. I thought that Odegaard was going to look over it, but instead it would be Declan Rice. And Jurrien Timber makes his way into the box along with the other aerial players. Kai Havertz, of course, would love to score in this North London derby. Rice waits, right-footed, so it'll curl towards those big, tall Arsenal players. Gabriel scored in the North London derby at Spurs earlier this season from a set-piece, and Arsenal have a little routine worked out here. It's flicked away by Bergvall, comes to the edge of the box where Kulusevski can't clear it. Arsenal have won it back. They're pressing hard, the Gunners, early on. We thought it might be Tottenham who would make the early running just to try and knock Arsenal off a bit. But at the moment, Spurs are locked inside their own half of the field, and Arsenal have it with Declan Rice on the right. Fed for Sterling, who's operating on that right-hand side. Footed by Bergvall. Great work by the Swede. He's managed to hold it up as well, and he's had his shirt tugged. Well, we all thought this was going to be about Raheem Sterling. Bradley, we billed it as the Raheem Sterling show, but Lucas Bergvall does enjoy the limelight, doesn't he?
Good intensity and press there, and Spurs almost countered across the halfway line before Sterling pulled the sweep back. But I think what's going to be important here is managing this intensity and the crowd. Arsenal are really pushing in these early stages.
And they found Sterling inside the penalty area, and the goalkeeper loses his footing and he goes to ground, and it's scrambled away by Spurs. That all happened very quickly. Sterling darted into the penalty area and Kinski raced off his line, and he did seem to get something on it. I think I'd love to see that again. There were no appeals for a penalty. It looked a bit clumsy from the 21-year-old Czech, but Sterling already showing that he can pop up in the big moments on the big stage on days like this.
Should have done possibly better there, Sterling. Lewis Skelly from Arsenal's left-hand side come across the pitch diagonally, and it looked as if Sterling was through on goal. He sort of stumbled himself as Kingsley come out and made the challenge, but Arsenal again with Sterling on their right-hand side building another attack.
They are really going for Spurs here. Odegaard, edge of the penalty area, gives it to Partey 35 yards out. Spurs have pulled everybody back into their own third. Lewis Skelly goes wide to the left-hand side, and Rice, who's popping up all over the pitch in these opening exchanges. Cauldron atmosphere inside this ground as the floodlights working hard against the mist and the fog and the night here on a mid-January evening. There's Trossard with a little flick, and down the left goes Lewis Skelly again. In comes the cross, blocked by Dragusin, and out for a corner. No way out for Spurs in these opening moments.
Yeah, this is danger. Already had a free kick that Spurs just about defended from Arsenal's right. This is a left-sided corner that's going to come in from Declan Rice. These set play moves are going to be practiced here. Those big, uncompromising, powerful Arsenal players start at the back of the 6-yard box and move across the line of the Spurs and opposing defenders and try and get that near post touch.
Well, we know how effective Arsenal can be from these sorts of situations. Everybody except Son and Kulusevski back in the Tottenham box. This is swung into the far post, looking for Trossard, and Solanke just kind of pulls his head away as it goes out of play for a goal kick. Harry Symeou alongside me. Harry, didn't we all live long enough to see an unsuccessful Arsenal set piece?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a really lively start from Arsenal there. You can see they're up for it. There's a lot more zip, there's a lot more tempo to their game, and that's what the fans were crying out for over the past week or so. Really lively start.
Well, they've certainly got the backing of their fans at the moment. The Spurs fans watching on pensively as Arsenal attack the goal that they're based behind. It's with Trossard on that left-hand side. He's had his pocket picked by Kulusevski, and Spurs haven't really entered Arsenal territory yet. They do so now with the ball down the right. Kulusevski the target. Gabriel has tidied that up very nicely. Rice involved as well. Partey tickles it forward. It's cut out by Bissouma on the halfway line, and opportunity to settle this game down. Newcastle 1, Wolves 0 in another 7:30 kickoff in the Premier League. This goes to Jed Spence, and he's going to exchange passes with Archie Gray, another of the 18-year-olds on the field for Spurs today. We can't underline this enough. This is a colossally young Spurs side, with Bergvall at 18, Kinski at 21, Jed Spence is 24, as Tottenham are trying to play out from the back, even though Arsenal are pressing and Bissouma puts it out. for a throw into Arsenal, and the Arsenal throw, Bradley, is greeted by a huge roar from the crowd. They are bang up for this on this Wednesday evening.
Yeah, I think in more recent times often it has been, like we've seen already this evening, fast starts by the home side, often get themselves the first goal in the North London derbies, and a pretty good record here, and favourable results. That's where Spurs need to stand firm. They've got to be good with the ball in moments that they get it, Nick, and take the sting out of the game. Reach 10, 12, possibly 20 passes, and then break through this pressure and then attack if opportunity presents itself.
Throwing the Spurs on this near side. Harry, how long can Arsenal keep this up?
In terms of the tempo, you wonder, because obviously they've played a lot of games in a really short period of time, but you mentioned it's a really young Spurs side, Nick, and I feel like Arsenal smell blood, because Partey, I'll let you take over, Nick, as Arsenal come forward.
Odegaard plays this forward, Sterling across the face of goal and turned behind by Gray at the near post. He just had to make sure the cross didn't get into the 6-yard box. It's another corner. Finish your point, Harry.
I was just going to make the point that Arsenal smell blood at the moment, because Thomas Partey, who's meant to be the anchor in midfield, is pushing up at times and pressing as the furthest man forward, because they feel that Tottenham are nervy in possession at the back. They know what Ange Postecoglou's style of play is. They know he's not going to compromise on his principles, and they're looking to prey on that in these early stages.
Here is the corner for Arsenal, their second corner of the game. They have already swung in a dangerous free kick as well. The previous corner didn't work quite so well from Declan Rice, but this from the right is Odegaard with the left foot, played short to Trossard, who attacks the edge of the penalty area. Trossard twists one way then the other. Porro gets the block and it goes out for a throw.
Yeah, he did well there, Porro. Odegaard, Trossard between them, a bit different, short corner, but the Spaniard stood firm and he's blocked it out. Timber will throw this ball in to restart the game.
Trossard again, Son nips in and wins it from Trossard. Trossard wins it back. Here's Timber right hand side. Bergvall trying to get at him, and Bergvall has just caught the heels there of Jurrien Timber, and he complains to the assistant referee on this near side and says, I didn't do anything. Heung-min Son is claiming that he was fouled.
He's been bumped a couple of times, hasn't he, in 1v1 skirmishes, the Spurs captain, and he's a little bit frustrated, the referee. He's allowing that because of it being a London derby as well, and the nature of the atmosphere of the crowd, trying to let it flow. These set plays are certainly building, and we're only nearly 9 minutes into this one.
Odegaard is going to look after this set piece. It's level with the edge of the Spurs penalty area, so it's not far away but on the angle, and Odegaard raises his left arm. Gabriel, Saliba, Hazard, Havertz, they're all in there. This is swept in quite close to Kinsey, who gets something on it, and I think he's pushed it into an Arsenal player, and it's come off a Spurs player. I thought, wondered if Havertz got the last touch. It's another Arsenal corner.
Yeah, it curled in short, didn't it? Right corner of the 6-yard box, and Kingsley sort of come for it a bit late. I agree with you, it might have actually been a goal kick. We're not going to see a replay of that currently. I think he punched it down off of an Arsenal player. That's what the Spurs coaching staff are asking the fourth official, but a follow-up corner has been given and awarded here.
Yeah, there's a bit of an inquest going on the Spurs bench. Here's another corner. Odegaard to take it. Once again left-footed, bending in. This one loops towards the far post. Gabriel heads it down. It's a real scramble, sent back towards goal by Trossard. Goes out of play for another corner. It's a third in very quick succession for Arsenal. Still 0-0.
I think what Harry said was right about Arsenal smelling opportunity here. Do you know what? They were watching the Nottingham Forest Liverpool game last night, and that ending a draw, and they know they need maximum points here this evening, Nick, and they're going after it early.
It's Rice again back on corner duties from that Arsenal left. He takes it right-footed, so it swings in towards goal. And there's a bit of a pause here. Simon Hooper, the referee, is just making sure he's got everything as he wishes. Once again, the Arsenal players popping up all over the place. Lots of movement, lots of disguised running. What have they got in store? Whipped in again with real venom, punched away by Kinski under stacks of pressure, but he got good distance on it. Comes back out to Rice on that side. Odegaard is challenged, but he gets it wide to Rice again. Odegaard has stayed down. No free kick given on this occasion. Spurs continue with their backs to the wall. Nice bit of skill by William Saliba to glide away from the attentions of Solanke and Kulusevski. Arsenal continue on the halfway line. Lewis Skelly pings it forward, headed away by Porro, collected by Pape Sarr. He draws a foul on the halfway line.
That's what Spurs needed. A moment's respite, awesome possession, crucial, because the home team have clearly been dominant.
Boos around the ground from the Arsenal supporters. It's going to be Pedro Porro who's going to take this free kick just inside his own half. Goes long, Solanke the target, headed away by Gabriel, to be collected by Kulusevski. He can't hold it, and Raheem Sterling races towards halfway to the middle of the field, drawing players towards him wide. It goes to Trossard, left hand side, red and white shirts pouring forward again. Trossard glides infield, uses Partey, back to Saliba. He picks out Sterling on that right-hand side once again. Wants to get involved this afternoon, Raheem Sterling, no question. This is lifted in, Rice around the back, inside the penalty area. Trossard shoots, it's deflected and headed off the line by Gray. Partey shoots, that's blocked as well. The shots are raining in on Tottenham's goal. Somehow they're keeping them out. Rice hoists it left to right. Here's Sterling again on the corner of the box. Little back heel for Timber, whose cross is going to be headed clear by Dragusin, only as far as Odegaard, who lifts it up in the air. Headed away by Sarr. Solanke tries to complete the clearance. Arsenal have it again. No way out for Spurs. Once more, the Arsenal supporters sense opportunity. Darting run by Saliba. Oh, and then he misses it. It's cleared away by Bissouma, but not very far. All the way back to Raya, who is currently a spectator.
Yeah, I think the Spurs coaching staff want the team pushed up a little bit, because once again it's wave after wave of attacks here for the home team.
Trossard down the left into the penalty area, rolls it into the 6-yard box. Dragusin at the near post with the clearance, out for a throw-in. They can't go on all game, Bradley, surely.
It was a great chance, really unselfish left side of the penalty box from Declan Rice. Had a touch, set it to Trossard across his body, and he just didn't get the connection. Half-volleyed effort, good chance that was, should have hit the target.
Sterling again, corner of the Tottenham box, wide to Timber, into Odegaard, intricate play by Arsenal. They're working it on that right side. Low teasing cross, too close to Kinski, who tumbles on it and won't get up for some time. Just trying to draw the sting from this rampant Arsenal attack, but it is 0-0 with nearly 14 minutes on the clock. And Spurs are going to play out from the back, of course they are. But then Kinski decides actually hammering this to Solanke, who got bumped by Gabriel there, but not enough to earn a free kick.
It's a good challenge so far. They've had the better of the skirmishes, Arsenal, and they go again.
Sterling away down the right, cuts it into the penalty area behind Havertz this time. Cleared by Porro. They look a threat every time they break forward, Arsenal. Raheem Sterling is at the heart of all they're doing. He had that sight of goal really in the opening moments, but since then he's been industrious. Spurs have it inside their own half and they're trying to keep possession. Archie Gray, who blocked that effort a little bit earlier, he didn't know much about it, he headed it away from the line. Amazing to think he's only 18, playing out of position on a day like this. Bergvall, yeah, steers away from Odegaard, and then has just lunged in and caught a Partey. As the ball got away from him, I'm sure the ref will go back to it, and now Bissouma has kicked Sterling, and Simon Hooper's got to sort this out. He wants to talk to Bergvall, who did brilliantly to get away from Odegaard.
Do you know something, Nick? In another London derby and another Arsenal player, that might have been a more serious decision that the referee's got to make. You have to say that Partey, to be fair, however much contact there was, he probably did Bergvall a bit of a favour.
His feet were off the ground, weren't they? There's a challenge, but he slid, because he lost the ball and then slid for it. You see players do that all the time, but these days...
Partey could have rolled on that one, Nick.
Yeah,
you know,
very difficult.
The young midfielder who did ever so well initially on the turn and the surge forward, centrally inside the Spurs half of the pitch, just overrun the ball, committed to the challenge, and then obviously when it then broke to Sterling, he was then fouled. that's what the referee did. He allowed good advantage, to be fair to him. But this is a promising free kick. Arsenal number 8, Odegaard to take.
30 yards from goal, quite central. Odegaard hoists this into the penalty area. Kinski comes and does well. Punches clear, sent back into the mix by Trossard. Flag goes up for offside. So a free kick to Tottenham inside their own penalty area.
Yeah, brave goalkeeping that. It was very congested. A teasing ball in with Odegaard's quality left foot. Just sort of dinked it in, didn't he? Over the shoulder. Just seeing a replay of the Trossard chance from the unselfish set from Declan Rice. Hit the back of Dragusin. The Spurs number 6 didn't know much about that one.
Well, Antonin Kinski has been right in the thick of everything so far. 15-16 minutes into his Premier League debut. He's kept 2 clean sheets. Oh, he's been caught in possession by Havertz, and he's won it back, the goalkeeper. Oh my goodness, there were shades of Fraser Forster against Manchester United there for a few moments. Kinski just switched off. Havertz chanced his arm, and Kinski had the presence of mind to grab the ball again. Extraordinary. Only in a North London derby, Bradley.
That was fraught with risk, wasn't it?
He's just gritted his teeth. I mean, he got himself out of dodge, though, didn't he? My goodness. Arsenal have it at the back. A moment's pause. Partey, centre of the field. Wide to Odegaard again, who prowls forward down the right. Sterling outside him, attacking the edge of the penalty area. Timber on the overlap, takes it to the byline, wants to win a corner, does win a corner. Here we go again, 5 corners for Arsenal, but remarkably, Bradley, they've not really created a great deal of them so far.
I'm sure Harry will remind us, you know, to be fair to Arsenal, they had exactly spells like this against Manchester United in the FA Cup side, but they didn't drive it home, did they? And obviously they and it come back to haunt them with a penalty shootout.
Yeah, Odegaard's going to position this. We'll hear Harry's take on the last blast of Arsenal pressure in this North London derby in a few moments, but here comes corner number 5 for the Gunners with 18 minutes on the clock on BBC Radio London. Left-footed, swung in towards the far post. Again, Kinsey gets a hand to it, punches it away. Sterling collects, and then it hits Porro and Solanke, and Spurs have managed to dig this out, and Kulusevski launches this over the top, and Rice hares after it with Son, and Rice wins the foot race and gets Arsenal moving again. Odegaard is going to go long and direct, looking for Sterling to the middle of the field. Porro manages to get there first. It drops for Dragusin, who hacks it clear from inside the D. Drops to Odegaard. Bergvall couldn't hold it up. And this red and white wave that has crashed onto Tottenham shores for the last 19 minutes will keep going. Trossard down that left-hand side as he won a corner. No, it's a foul, it's a free kick to the top. Let's bring in Harry. 5 corners, but nothing made from them yet. I think they expect to get quite a few more this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're Tottenham Hotspur, you certainly don't want to give away too many more, because you know sooner or later this Arsenal team will punish you. We've seen lots of control from Mikel Arteta's side in recent games, but not always that cutting edge. But there's an aggression, there's a tempo to everything that they're doing tonight, and they've started the game brilliantly. The only problem is they haven't managed to find the breakthrough yet.
It is still 0-0 in this North London derby on the home of London football. It is half-time at the King Power Stadium, where Crystal Palace have travelled to take on Leicester. Here's Emma Jones.
Goalless at the break, a game in which Crystal Palace really started to warm up. Unfortunately, they've lost Jefferson Lerma to an injury to be replaced by Decore. At the break here at the King Power, it is Leicester City 0, Crystal Palace 0.
We've had exactly 20 minutes here on BBC Radio London, and Tottenham try and launch the ball forward, but it goes all the way through to David Raya away to our left-hand side. I forget, he nearly joined Spurs a couple of years ago. Do you remember, Bradley? All the chat was that he was going to move to another part of North London.
A rumour, wasn't it?
Long ball forward, and Sterling is offside, and it's a free kick to Spurs again.
I think in terms of Spurs' approach, the moment where, you know, Arsenal, to be fair to them, are so on top in this one, is they've either got to go unbelievably brave in possession, Nick, when they get the ball in their own half and build with so many passes, and then break this pressure.
Oh, Kinski's miles off his line again, gets challenged by Havertz but gets rid of it. Oh, the heart rate for the Spurs fans when he's on the ball is not going to go well. But Spence goes galloping down that left-hand side. Solanke in the penalty. Here's the cross. Solanke tries to get hold of it, and Raya grabs it. Well, that's probably the closest we've come. And Spence got away and almost found Solanke, who could have prodded it in.
One of the first Tottenham Hotspur counter-attacks and rare attacks inside the Arsenal half of the pitch. Spence on Spurs' left-hand side did ever so well. A clever outside of the right foot threaded cross, and the defending by Gabriel to tow it away from Solanke was outstanding.
Unbelievable defending. Solanke would have scored.
Spurs corner.
It is a corner. Spurs first of the game on that far side of the field. Gabriel has saved a goal there. Here's Porro's delivery, lifted high and headed away by Saliba as far as Kulusevski. Kulusevski gets another chance, and it's a wonderful save by Raya down to his left. How on earth has he kept that out?
Wow.
It dropped to Kulusevski, who just hammered it towards goal. Brilliant shot stopping, another corner.
Well, the one thing that Mikel Arteta will certainly not want with the power of this side offensively from set plays is actually to concede from a corner when Spurs have not been in this game so far.
Well, they're on the front foot now. They're all in the box. As this is fired in by Porro once again. It runs loose once again, and Son can't get to it. Sterling clears. Spence, who started it all, controls it, and he turns it over. And Arsenal race forward. Odegaard and Bissouma after it. Bissouma wins the race and gets it back to Kinski. You cannot take your eyes off this, Bradley Adam.
Well, he's a lucky man, Spence, because he was last man just inside the Arsenal half of the pitch before the halfway line. Out of the floodlights, he took a touch, he drove centrally, turned the ball over, and there looked to be counter-attacking space for Arsenal to break into, but credit to Spence, he did recover and make up for his error.
I haven't had the chance to, I think it is a Raya save from Kulusevski. He didn't hit the side netting because he went for a corner. I think it's a brilliant save.
Good shot stop save.
Yeah.
From the former Brentford keeper. Good challenge from Partey. Off Arsenal go again.
Havertz, bit of space centrally, gets it wide to Sterling on the right hand side. He's waiting and hesitating and offloading to Partey. Now Odegaard in a central position, wide to Jurrien Timber on that flank. Into Sterling again, back to Odegaard in a crossing position just behind those two Arsenal players, moves it infield centrally for Gabriel and Saliba and Odegaard. The red and white shirts ping it about. Spurs try and shut down every angle as Odegaard lifts this towards the far post, and Trossard volleys it into the ground, and Kinski just leaps in the air and grabs it. Let's bring in Harry Symeou, shall we? Use watching on engrossed.
Nick, we were talking earlier about Arsenal being super aggressive. I'll throw it back to you, Nick, because Tottenham are on a break down the right-hand side.
They are, with Sarr, and he's going to get it back down that right edge of the penalty area, and he turns it across the face of goal, and it's blocked behind by Partey for another corner. Go on, Harry.
We've talked loads in the early stages about Arsenal squeezing high up, being really aggressive, and we've seen loads of Jurrien Timber coming down the right-hand side. But what that means is that Arsenal leave themselves on the halfway line with a back three all of the time, and I can't for the life of me understand why Tottenham aren't a little bit more direct and why they don't try and hit those balls in behind that stretch defence earlier.
Corner played short, headed away by Gabriel as far as Son, who volleys it, deflected it in! Heung-min Son's done it again for Tottenham at the Emirates Stadium. They didn't clear their lines, and it dropped to the captain, who drilled it through a forest of legs. Raya beaten low down to his left, and in the North London derby, despite relentless pressure from Arsenal for the thick end of 25 minutes, it is Tottenham who strike first through Heung-min Son. Arsenal 0, Spurs 1.
Well, there have been a couple of glimmers of hope and optimism for Spurs in a couple of minutes. The Tottenham fans away to my right hand side probably can't believe it, wildly celebrating. Cross come in, headed up and away, edge of the box. Son was there, he's controlled his volley brilliantly. He was aided by a deflection that's diverted the ball to Raya's left hand side, and he couldn't keep it out. Tottenham Hotspur in front against the run of play, Nick.
Well, do not adjust your set. If you think Arsenal were going to go for Tottenham's jugular before they went 1-0 up, I dread to think what they're going to try and do now. It did indeed take, I think the deflections off Partey. Partey and Saliba both went for the ball as Son got the shot off, and it just changed the direction, and it just moved the angle of the shot away from Raya down to his left. and it is Spurs who lead 1-0. Well, Harry Symeou, I'm afraid the ghosts of Sunday are flooding back for Arsenal, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really, really disappointing from an Arsenal perspective to be a goal down, given the way they've started this game. At the end of the day, you can talk about the deflection, but you can't leave a player like Heung-min Son on the edge of the box as free as he was. He had all the time in the world to watch the ball come down and strike it goalwards, and that will settle Tottenham's nerves, and you can see them coming forward again now.
Bissouma drives it down the left, and Solanke goes galloping after it. Can he keep it in play? No, he goes to ground. I think the referee's going to award a goal kick here. We've got...
What a great tussle that is, isn't it? Him and Saliba, or him up against Gabriel. Fantastic 1v1 duel.
Yeah. Well, you know, there is a...
Spurs turn to press. Arsenal doing exactly what Harry said maybe would have been better suited to Spurs. They've played over the pressure, and the referees give a foul. A ball kick away from Sarr. He didn't really mean that one. The crowd are trying to get, and they have. Yeah, the yellow card against the Spurs midfielder.
As Arsenal correspondent Harry Symeou has pointed out, not just today actually, Arsenal are the most aggrieved team when it comes to getting booked for kicking the ball away. Well, Harry, the floor is yours.
If there's one crowd in the country that are going to jump up at things like that now, it's this crowd here at the Emirates Stadium. Add to that is a derby, and of course they're going to appeal, and they've got what they wanted.
Booking for Sarr. Bergvall also in the book for Tottenham. This is BBC Radio London in the North London derby, and Heung-min Son has scored his 9th goal in these contests. He is now taken over the mantle from Harry Kane as Arsenal's tormentor-in-chief. This is played forward for Arsenal, cut out by Gray, who clears it to the halfway line. Saliba controls it, gives it to Odegaard, who burrows forward, but Bergvall snapping at his heels, and Solanke is busy as a bee in that middle third, just trying to ask questions of Arsenal, who come forward down their left with Trossard, who runs at the edge of the penalty area and cuts infield, tries to offload, but cannons into Sarr, who just prods it away from the Tottenham goal. That will do.
Yeah, he's going to have to be careful, but the securing of the football as well is important, but they're picking the tempo up, passing the ball quickly again, Arsenal, and the crowd wants Sterling to go at Spence here.
Sterling has just taken a touch too many there, and has allowed Heung-min Son to try and clear from by his own corner flag. Kicks it against Timber, and then going to ground by the touchline, Sterling stumbles and puts it out of play.
Did well there, Spence. And just here on the restart, Spurs again can just slow things down, build, try and get some passes.
Kinski goes long, it goes over the head of
I think in that instance the Czech goalkeeper has chosen to do that a little bit, and if, you know, when he addresses the ball and he plays those longer passes intended for the wide players, or more evidently Solanke, I think the Tottenham team have got to travel up the pitch in case Arsenal head it and there's a second ball centre field, and then they might from the drop be able to regain and pick the football up.
I'm going to use this statistic in a moment, just in case Arsenal wipe it out, as Trossard goes down the left. Little quiz for you, Bradley. Trossard with a lovely spin, breaks into the penalty area, into the box it goes, headed away by Dragusin. Porro is flat on his back by the edge of the penalty area. The referees had to stop it.
He shouldn't really, but I think Porro is injured. He's been twisted up there. Just the core skill and the twist and the turn was so dynamic from Trossard, and he's caught his right knee in the turf. I think he's going to be in some discomfort. This is worrying for the Spurs fullback.
Tottenham have not got any defensive options, given the fact that there's no Van der Ven, there's no Romero, there's no Udogie. He's in a bit of bother down there, Pedro Porro. Would you like to know, Bradley, the last time that Tottenham kept an away league clean sheet at Arsenal?
I think I know the answer.
Yeah, I think you probably... All right, just hold on a second.
I'll leave it for Bradley.
I'm going 5 years.
1998.
Well,
do you know who's in goal that day for Arsenal? Do you remember Espen Bardson?
Yes.
That's funny because I've completely forgotten about him, but he was in goal for Arsenal that day, the last time that Tottenham...
You mean for Spurs?
No, so he's in goal for Spurs. I don't know what I've written down for Arsenal. I'm getting carried away. But he was in goal for Spurs, and he was the last Spurs goalkeeper to come here in the league, or not even here. It was over the road at Highbury. Now Porro is back up. Did you have that one up your sleeve, Harry?
I did. I had the year. I didn't have the goalkeeper.
Well, Espen Baardsen would. Some of the teenagers might have to Google who Espen Baardsen was, but I enjoyed reading that statistic a little bit earlier on. But Porro looks as though he's okay. We're going to have a drop ball in the middle of the field inside the Tottenham half. They lead 1-0.
I think the adjustment here, if he returns and he is struggling, Porro would be Spence across the right full-back and Reguilon, who's not played it much at all, just some minutes recently in the left-back position, and that's really, otherwise, the use of young academy defender Malachi Hardy.
Well, he's still on the field at the moment as Arsenal come forward. Party round the right to
Spurs want to get him back on the field of play.
He's not actually on the feast.
No.
He still wants to get on, but Arsenal are with a man advantage. He's rolled across the 18-yard box by Timber, and it's clear, but the flag goes up anyway. And Porro is hobbling back on. They must be okay with him and think he can run it off, but the way that Trossard twisted away from him, Porro didn't know what day it was. I noticed that on our screen in front of us, Bergvall hasn't got. Did Bergvall get booked? I don't think he did. No, I thought he did. I thought he was in a bit of trouble actually, Bergvall, but we'll strike that one from the record. Bergvall just got a little talking to for stretching against Thomas Partey. No card was shown. Sarr did get booked for kicking the ball away, much to the chagrin of the Arsenal supporters. Here come the Gunners once again, trailing 1-0, but on the attack with Odegaard, and wide to Sterling, right hand side, faces Spence, runs at Spence, finds Odegaard to the middle of the field once again. I think that's a foul by Kulusevski. They keep doing this, Spurs.
Yeah, he was past the ball as Spurs started to attack down that right hand side, and credit to Lewis Skelly, just sort of bumped the screen and Arsenal broke, played to Odegaard. He recovered and he tracked back and he tried to help his team out and get the ball back, Kulusevski, but another unnecessary foul, and these are racking up, and Spurs have done this a bit too much, Nick, haven't they? These challenges and these unnecessary free kicks and corners that they're giving to the home side.
Yeah, they have not yet been punished for giving away free kicks in and around the box. I think this is the third one, and they've also conceded 5 corners, so I think it's fair to say that this Tottenham box has been peppered in the opening 33 minutes, which has raced by. It's been engrossing. Tottenham lead thanks to Heung-min Son's deflected effort on 25 minutes. Standing over this is Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard. It is 23-24 yards from goal. There's a 4-man wall. Odegaard with the left foot would be the ideal for a strike on goal, but he's going to clip it towards the far post, and it's headed behind by Yves Bissouma for another corner.
Discipline there, Bissouma. Tried to flip the ball to the back post, double team the Spurs defence. The former Brighton midfield player just headed it out, but again a follow-up and another corner Rice to take.
Declan Rice is ringed by the travelling Tottenham support on that far side of the field. As he positions it, pulls his hair back over his head and lines up Arsenal's latest corner. Number 6 raises his left arm and right-footed swings this in towards Kinski, who punches again under real pressure. Odegaard hooks it back out to that left flank, but I don't think Rice is going to get there before Bissouma. Bissouma is strong and clears it down the channel. Kulusevski holds it up, being buffeted by Lewis Skelly, comes back to Sarr, who hoists it across the pitch right to left. The target is Son, and Sterling stretches, wins the header just, and then hooks it back over his shoulder. Collected by Spence, who sends that back to Gray, who has been charged at by Odegaard, but he kept his head, and then he's tried to play that down the channel to try and release Solanke, but it goes out of play for an Arsenal throw. We've got 10 minutes to go to half-time on BBC Radio London, and in the 197th North London derby, it is Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1.
I think what's fascinating, Nick, about this one with Spurs in the lead is, bits of calm and composed possession, but actually Spurs' best route here, but might be just to switch to play and attack and go for Arsenal again, and even before half-time give another chance and double their advantage, because there could be the possibility of that. Again, completely against the run of play, because like Harry said, they are choosing to really commit and go on the front foot here, the home team.
Saliba on halfway. Arsenal draw breath and go again with Saliba and Lewis Skelly on the left inside Tottenham's half of the field. Rice centrally looks up and offloads to Partey, who guides the ball wide to Sterling. With the ball at his feet, he's faced by Jed Spence. Heung-min Son is helping out his fullback, but Arsenal find no way through, so they retreat to halfway again. And Gabriel, who flicks this long now, is Trossard offside as he brings this down on the edge of the penalty area. Flag has stayed down for now. Here's his cross, headed away by Gray. It'll find Kulusevski on the edge of the penalty area. He's eased off it by Lewis Skelly, and Arsenal will once again hurl themselves at Spurs. Sterling on the right, level with the edge of the penalty area. He almost hesitates. Now he goes round the side of Spence, who sticks to it, and that's gone out of play off Raheem Sterling and out for a goal kick.
I think the Spurs head coach just wants a couple of times when the ball has gone to Kulusevski, who has undoubtedly been their best performer this season, to keep hold of the football, take the ball in, ride the challenge, secure it.
Again, Kinski plays it out to Spence. Harry, I sense a little frustration amongst the Arsenal supporters that all of this huffing and puffing is not blowing Tottenham's house down.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of frustration coming through towards Raheem Sterling. He started the game so well on the front foot, really aggressive, but he's been receiving the ball on the right-hand side for the last sort of 10 minutes or so, and there's been a hesitance to take on the fullback. He seems to want to put his foot on the ball, bring it back inside, and that's allowing Spurs to get back and in shape. And I think, one of the good things about his performance at the weekend was how aggressive he was in trying to take the man on, and I think that's what the Arsenal fans want.
Another throw in on this near side to Tottenham this time, and again, you look at the way the Spurs backline is set up. I mean, I don't think anybody at the start of the season necessarily expected to see the big North London derby duel on the right-hand side of the Arsenal attack and the left-hand side of the Tottenham defence to be between Raheem Sterling and Jed Spence. That, I don't think, was on anybody's coupon. As Gray guides this back to Kinski, who confidently eases it out to Porro on that right side. He seems to have run that knock off a little bit earlier. Kulusevski does want to hold this up and then feeds it down the channel, and Sarr goes scampering after it over the halfway line. Holds it up, tries to find some help, but Lewis Skelly has won it back. Ange Postecoglou wants a foul. Nothing doing, says Simon Hooper. Here come Arsenal again. Trossard down that left-hand side, running at the edge of the penalty area. Goes on the outside of Porro. I think he's run it out. As you know, it's taken a touch off Pedro Porro, and it is yet another Arsenal corner.
Yeah, Spurs tried to break with Kulusevski and Sarr down the right-hand side. There was a bit of a question there and a pause on the challenge, but it wasn't given. Advantage off Arsenal, swept down the left, 1v1 Trossard against Porro to the byline, and again the corners. I'm glad you are counting these up, Nick.
It's one of my primary tasks this evening is counting those Arsenal corners, and mind you, Tottenham have earned a few as well. I think it's currently 7-3 on the corner count. Here's Rice right-footed. Once again, the Arsenal movement, the Arsenal plan unfolds in front of our very eyes as he whips this in, and it's been headed down and headed in by Gabriel. Once again he scores against Tottenham. Kinski came and couldn't grab it, and Gabriel at the far post nodded it into the Tottenham goal, and with 5.5 minutes to go before half time, this North London derby is all square. Gabriel from a set piece yet again. Arsenal 1, Tottenham 1.
Yeah, a great ball in from Declan Rice. It has been coming with venom to the back post. The big centre-half loops round. We were right behind it from our vantage commentary position, and he's headed it in from quite an acute angle. Was the goalkeeper blocked though? I think this is going to be VAR checked by the referee. Was Kingsley prevented from maybe coming and punching and getting something on it like he has done for a few of those Arsenal corners? Goal given, 1-1.
It's a goal It's all square, and I'm glad we spent so long talking about the corners, Harry, because it's worked again.
Kinski was actually blocked off by his own man there in a desperate attempt for them to try and get a hold of the situation. Gabriel's got no right from the penalty spot to be forced as wide as he was and still managed to get something on it. I think it comes off of Solanke in the end, just to creep inside the post.
There is a deflection, you're right.
He's so dominant, Gabriel. He's so difficult to defend against, and he's done it again from a set piece for Arsenal.
The last touch may well have come off Dominic Solanke. Spurs, who have led since the 25th minute, peg back, and Espen Baardsen is going to sleep well tonight, because Tottenham are not going to keep a clean sheet in the league at Arsenal once again, and that 1998 record of his remains intact. Free kick to Tottenham down their left-hand side. They've been threatening from set pieces as well. Bergbaum and Son standing over this. Son runs over it. Bergbaum, right-footed, sweeps it into the Arsenal box, and Raya comes and claims well. He made one brilliant save from Kulusevski, picked it out of the net from Son's strike, and he's just claimed that one as well. 1-1 in the North London derby with just over 3 minutes to go in the first half. Havertz can't get hold of this. He's fouled Dragusin. Is that a yellow card for Kai Havertz?
Yeah, that was a silly challenge really from Havertz. He didn't even have to go for that one.
And there's been a goal in the 7:30 kick-off at Leicester. They're playing Crystal Palace, and Emma Jones is watching.
53 on the clock, and Crystal Palace have taken the lead. Jean-Philippe Mateta waited for the goalkeeper to make his move, got around him, struck it in at close range. Leicester City 0, Palace 1.
Could be a very valuable goal for Crystal Palace. That game is live on the BBC Sport website for you if you have access to the live commentaries page. Just find the BBC London commentary of that, and away you go. Here at the Emirates, we've had 42 and a half minutes. It is still 1-1. Gabriel's header cancelling out Heung-min Son's deflected shot. Bit of space here for Lewis Skelly, who moves over the halfway line for Arsenal. They have attacked Spurs relentlessly all half. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't come off. Here's Trossard into Odegaard, back to goal. Tries to help it back to Trossard, but it's cleared away, and then Solanke is fouled, but the referee's waved advantage, and Bergbaum gallops over the halfway line in Tottenham colours. They're wearing their blue strip today, Spurs. Should remind everybody there's too much white in this Arsenal kit for Tottenham's home kit to stand the new stringent tests that they have. Also, I think Spurs quite like playing in their away kit, just because it gives it a higher profile. But anyway, Bissouma challenge. On halfway, Odegaard sprints forward, releases Trossard down the left-hand side. They've got bodies in the box here. Trossard goes alone! Trossard scores for Arsenal! They've turned it around in the last 4 minutes! Bissouma the confident halfway for Spurs, presenting the ball to Odegaard, who released Leandro Trossard, raced into the penalty area. It's a cool, hard, low finish into the corner of Kinski's goal, and this North London derby's been turned on its head. It's Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1.
Yeah, wild scenes. Amongst the home faithful, a transformation on balance of play probably deserved for Arsenal. Short pass and connection between Spence and Bissouma didn't work. A turnover, Odegaard brilliant. Awareness, switch of play. He strode forward, did Trossard, and he struck the ball. It was like a bouncing shot, and it just pitched to Kingsley's left-hand side, and it popped over him. Left hand, he'll be disappointed. Arsenal won't. They're in front, 2-1.
Harry Symeou.
It's been a long time since Leandro Trossard has shown what he can do in terms of his finishing. When he first arrived at the club, he was deemed by many as the best finisher at Arsenal, and that hasn't really been the case this season. He's been out of sorts, but he's been brilliant in the first half of this game. It was an excellent run, fantastic build-up play. Arsenal pinched the ball in the halfway line, and Trossard back among the goals. And this place has gone crazy. The atmosphere has completely flipped. Arsenal flipped this game on its head, and they're in front.
We're going to have 4 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. Trossard's first goal for Arsenal since scoring against West Ham in November, and in this pivotal game for the Gunners in their pursuit of Liverpool at the top of the table and Nottingham Forest. How vital could that goal be? Free kick to Spurs just inside their own half of the field, and well,
I think Spurs in it will try and attack before the half-time whistle. However, they probably need to just get into the away dressing room, a moment's respite, just calm, some words of encouragement from the manager and the coaching staff, and try and pick themselves up, because the description that you would of Arsenal, they've been fierce, haven't they, in this first half.
And as Gray gets himself into a little bit of difficulty, but then his clearance hits Odegaard. Gray bursts back into his own third of the field and shepherds it out for a throw-in.
That's 4 minutes, Nick. We're 1.5 into the injury time minutes at the end of this first half.
And again, for so much of this first half, it looked and felt as though Arsenal were, just kind of labouring and keeping going and getting nowhere. But actually, they've been absolutely ruthless in the last 10 minutes or so. And that is why the name of Arsenal FC is being sung so lustily. And they pour forward again. Trossard centrally clips it into the box, prodded away by Gray. Trossard thought about volleying that from the edge of the penalty area, thinks better of it, and goes back to Sterling. And now Saliba into the feet of Odegaard, who attacks the edge of the box to Havertz. Havertz turns and sweeps an effort towards goal, blocked by the defender Dragusin. It comes out to Rice. Spurs will have to make sure that they are not put out of this game before they get in at half-time for the reset that Bradley Allen has just talked about. Partey rolls it back to Saliba. And Trossard on the right-hand side. He popped up on a different flank. Room for Timber to move now, and uses Sterling outside him. All of a sudden, everything about Arsenal is crisp and confident and assertive. It's with Odegaard again, 25 yards from goal. Offloads to Partey, who thinks about shooting, but he's shut down by Solanke. Spurs just trying to hang in the game at the moment. Spence goes careering forward. Well, he's booted Partey there, although...
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of that. I think
Ange is furious.
It was a committed challenge from Spence.
Ange Postecoglou is suggesting that Simon Hooper doesn't really know what he's doing. You don't need to be a lip-reading expert to spot that Arsenal free kick. And again, Arsenal winning these free kicks in and around the penalty. And this was quite a long way out. It's about halfway inside the Spurs half. But this is where the Gunners prosper. Rice again with the delivery. We are 3.5 minutes into the 4 that are going to be added on. And Rice is going to pump this into the penalty area. Quite fiercely struck, headed away by Spence on the edge of his own box, and then guided all the way back to Saliba. Harry, you had a wry grin on your face there as Ange Postecoglou was very clearly mentioning that he wasn't sure about that decision.
I was just enjoying that because it's Ange Postecoglou that doesn't comment about referees, but he was furious.
He certainly gave Simon Cooper a piece of his Hooper.
I think he had a point though, on that occasion. I think he had a point.
And the referee blows the whistle for half-time, and another tumultuous 45 minutes in this storied fixture. Arsenal went at Tottenham from the word go, couldn't find a breakthrough. Spurs countered, should have scored through Kulusevski, but a good save by David Wright. How important could that save end up being, actually, from an Arsenal perspective? Spurs in front 4 minutes later. Heung-min Son drilling in after the Gunners didn't deal with a corner. It took a deflection. Then Arsenal took over, and Gabriel headed in from a corner. Kel Surprise with 6 minutes of the half to go. And then as we were approaching the 45-minute mark, Leandro Trossard put away down the left by Martin Odegaard. He picked his spot and sent that hazardous, bouncing, driven effort towards Kinski, and he just lifted over his gloves into the bottom corner. Breathless and perhaps significant for the Gunners, the way they fought back. They lead the 197th of these by 2-1.
BBC Radio London,
the home of London football.
BBC Radio London on DAB Digital Radio this evening and the BBC Sport website and app as well. The North London derby is delivering, as you'd imagine. It will be at the King Power Stadium for the latest with Emma Jones and Neil McDonald in a moment or two. But let's go back to the Emirates, shall we, before Harry and Bradley and Nick get a 10-minute spell to calm down after that first half. Chaps, Spurs have had 4 touches in the opposition penalty area. They have scored. That's significant. But what they do, Spurs, is they concede goals, and Arsenal, the momentum swung with that equaliser from Gabriel. The momentum swung, and Bradley, I think you were saying that at that point, with just a couple of minutes to go, when Trossard made it 2-1, and you and I were there that evening just before Christmas when Spurs went chasing an equaliser before the break, and Liverpool got a third. Spurs just had to get into the changing rooms at half time to get themselves re-established. For Arsenal, they'll just want to come out bouncing for the second half, won't they?
Yeah, it's been a breathless first half, and Arsenal, to their credit, have played very, very well. Speed, power, aggression, buoyed and encouraged by a raucous home crowd in this North London derby, and with their dominance, corners, free kicks, set plays, attacking moments, they should have within the first 20 minutes been 2-0 up, really feel on balance of play, and out of nothing really Spurs got that goal with the deflected controlled volley from Son in off Partey to give them the lead against a runner play, but then they just couldn't quite settle the crowd and quieten the crowd further. Arsenal, to be fair, showed determination and spirit and deservedly got back on level terms. Then Spurs risked the ball, they turned the ball over, and with Odegaard now back and sort of brimming and really back in top form, he switched a play to Trossard, gave the opportunity for the goal that's put him in front. I think the young goalkeeper may, away to his left-hand side, be a bit disappointed that he's not been stronger on the save with his left hand, but the Arsenal fans celebrated wildly. And now they're in a terrific position in this one. Yeah,
they are. Spurs would come out anyway, Bradley, wouldn't they? But they now have to come out, and Arsenal can capitalise on that. This could be any score now.
Yeah. This really could be any score. Spurs might remarkably be able to turn this one around and go and score 2, 3, 4, 5 goals themselves. They're capable of doing that. Arsenal, if Spurs do come out, then if they then find the quality when those spaces open up, similarly, they could get a stack of goals here, and I'm sure the fans, now they're in front, if in a perfect world they can get a comprehensive scoreline in this North London derby, they'll be delighted with that.
Back to you to 3 in about 10 minutes time. Second half commentary to come on BBC Radio London Sport on DAB Digital Radio and the BBC Sport website and app as well. Arsenal leading by 2-1. Everton 0, Aston Villa 1. Ollie Watkins has scored from set up from Morgan Rogers to make it 1-0 to Aston Villa. That also was an earlier kick-off, a 7:30 kick-off. And Newcastle United 2-0 up against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Alexander Isak with both of the goals either side of half-time, 2-0 Newcastle lead in that one. I wonder if we can get the latest from the King Power Stadium into the second half, maybe halfway through it. It's Leicester against Crystal Palace. Emma Jones.
65 minutes on the clock, and it is Crystal Palace who lead Leicester City by 1-0. Mateta with the goal early in this second half, and so it is Crystal Palace with a 1-goal lead, 65 played.
Emma Jones and Neil McDonald on the BBC Sport website and app with that one this evening at the King Power Stadium. Palace looking to climb the table, put a bigger gap between them and the likes of Leicester, also with Wolverhampton Wanderers losing in the bottom 3. Palace, as it stands, would be 8 points clear of the bottom 3. Level on points with Spurs as it stands as well. Above, we did say this earlier this evening, above Manchester United and Everton. And Everton's still deep amongst it. You'd have to say Everton, Ipswich, Wolves, Leicester. Well, we know Southampton are down, but Everton, Ipswich, Wolves and Leicester starting to get slightly cast adrift as it stands at this moment in time, because the gap from Everton to Manchester United, who are 15th at this moment, would be 6 points. Ipswich, it would be 7 points. You just get a sense we could just be starting to see that gap which could almost be insurmountable. And from those, 2 from 4 of Everton, Ipswich, Wolves and Leicester will go down alongside Southampton, who look pretty much doomed as it is. Back to the Emirates for full second half commentary on BBC Radio London. Let's have a look at a couple of other stories. In Rugby Union, England coach Steve Borthwick has named his squad for the upcoming Men's Six Nations in the last 24 hours or so yesterday afternoon. The big headline was that Saracens lock Mara Itoje would take over from his teammate Jamie George as the captain. Saracens director of rugby Mark McCall spoke to BBC Radio London's Andy Rowley earlier today about both players. He also had an interesting response when asked about how his former England player, Joe Marler, had been talking about liaising with him in his new role as performance director for Team England. But first, it was all about how Itoje is one of the hardest working players that McCall has ever encountered.
Matt Marrow's as dedicated a player as I've come across. Always working on his craft, always working at everything. And I think Marrow always knows that his the best way for him to lead is by actions, and lots of actions, lots of important actions, lots of game-changing actions, and he's done that for years. And he knows that the key to his leadership is what he does on the field. He's become a better and better leader off the field. He's been very good with our young group, bringing everyone together. He's very measured. He's very balanced about everything, which is a really strong trait of his, I think. But at the end of the day, he needs to play well, and at the moment he's playing really well. Jimmy's, I think, been a brilliant captain for his country, and I suppose when you get news like that, there's always going to be different emotions, and disappointment is an obvious, especially when you hear it, less than 24 hours before it's announced, and it takes you a little bit by surprise, so when they're surprised, there's always a bit of disappointment as well. But all I've seen from Jimmy, because he was in work yesterday when the announcements were being made, what I've seen from him over the last 2 days has just been the normal, phenomenal teammate. And Jimmy George never had to have the sort of label or the badge of captain to be a good leader. He's led at this club. He's never been formally the captain of this club, but he's been one of the most important people, one of the most important voices, one of the most important personalities for quite a long time, to be honest. And I know he'll continue to do that.
Can I ask you, because he mentioned it himself, Joe Marler in his new role, speaking to you as player welfare officer, what was that like? Because he said it was maybe a bit of a surprise to some of you DORs to see him in his new suited role.
I'm actually not sure how to answer that, because we've never spoken. So
right.
Yeah, so I haven't spoken to Joe Marler. So yeah, okay. I obviously wish him well on his new role, but we've never had a conversation. So
okay.
So I was as surprised as you were surprised.
There's your headline.
If Joe chats to you, you stay chatted with. I think it's fair to say, Mark McCall. Not talking to Joe Marler about it. Let's also get some more reactions to last night's victory on a penalty shootout for Leyton Orient in the FA Cup third round against Derby County. 6-5 on penalties after a 1-1 draw after both 90 and 120 minutes. Richie Wellens, of course, the Orient manager, is now going to be taking on Pep Guardiola in the fourth round. The tie to be played at Brisbane Road. Richie and Dave Victor had a chat after the game, and Richie was... well, what you'd expect, really. He didn't want to underplay it, but he sort of also wanted to accept it. It was another good, positive day for his team.
It doesn't bother me. I'm not bothered about me. I'm bothered about the players who put an unbelievable effort in. It's lucky that the game was called off, because on the weekend we're struggling with illness, loads of injuries. The Prats has played tonight. Galbraith has come back from illness. And you look at the system that we've got at the end, you look at the personnel that we've got. So an amazing night for the football club. A youth product has scored the winning penalty. I thought for the first 60 minutes we were a better team. We needed to find the last pass better. We need to be better in the final third, but the areas that we got in, it should have been rewarded a little bit more. But then they're a good team. I only thought that they could score tonight on the counter-attack and from set plays. So they've got wingers that are lightning quick, and we got caught. little things, instead of just finding the extra pass, a little reverse pass, we end up shooting into bodies, it bounces, it ricochets for them, and they break away. So, like I said, I thought the stadium felt alive tonight, especially at the end when he stayed behind. I love Warney to bits. I played with Warney, an unbelievable guy, and I hope we go on a good run in the Championship, but in the next round we needed some hair on the sideline, didn't we?
It really was.
Pep and Warney next to each other. He's a bit slow there, weren't you?
It really was all about the magic of the cup.
I mean, our FA Cup run has been unbelievable, hasn't it? Penalties twice, 98th minute equalise, 121st minute winner, and people keep saying, and these top six want to. Tamworth deserved a replay, and these top six to keep taking it away from us. So the magic of the FA Cup is alive, with occasions like that, with occasions like Tamworth nearly scoring the last minute to knock Tottenham out. Hopefully we can hopefully City can not take us to a replay and we can beat them in normal time.
And what does it mean to you and to the club to have the champions here in the next round?
It honestly doesn't bother me. I'm not like that. I'm buzzing for the chairman. The chairman about probably 10 days, 2 weeks ago said, Rich, there's an extra bit of budget on top, which was brilliant. I can't spend it at the moment because I can't find the right. We'll hopefully get one. I think we've done one today, so that'll get announced tomorrow. Hopefully I'm not jumping the gun. But the fact that he was aggressive in it and he said, Rich, here's a decent amount. We've got the injury to O'Neill, the illness to Agger, which is significant. I think if we've got them subs coming on, I think we can win the game in normal time. We just got no pace to come on, and players been out of position. But I'm buzzing for the chairman. Do you know what else I'm really happy about is when I first come to this club, we won the first 9 of 10 games, and everybody thought, well, they should win the league in that position, and all our supporters go, no, it's Orient, innit? They'll mess it up. And then we get the draw, and everybody's thinking, what a great draw. Well, it's not a great draw if you don't go through. It's actually a horrific draw because you watch it on telly thinking it could have been us. But then everybody's like, well, it's typical Orient, that, innit? We get a Man City, we get a really big club in the next round and we go and get beat. It's not typical Orient no more. We're a growing club. And again, I'll go back to the fans were brilliant tonight, and the energy in the stadium felt alive.
BBC Radio London. I just want to say how valuable this new item of cultural exchange is.
We have had people coming down to say, I heard you on Robert Elms, so it definitely works.
Robert Elms.
So what have you got for us?
2 things coming up.
Incredible exhibition. What's the share this gig that's coming up?
Big thank you for the cultural exchange.
Robert Elms. And the collection is kind of mad.
Yeah, it's so eclectic. Robert Elms.
I live in Waterloo, but I'm from Forest Gate.
Right then, I'll call you Waterloo Bob.
Big Bob.
Robert Elms.
Friday, Saturday and Sunday mornings from 10.
BBC Radio London.
BBC Radio London.
The home of London football.
North London Derby Day on BBC Radio London, DAB, digital radio and the BBC Sport website and app. And it was certainly a lively first half between Arsenal and Spurs.
Corner played short, headed away by Gabriel as far as Son, who volleys it, deflected it in! Chapman Son's done it again for Tottenham at the Emirates Stadium. They didn't clear their lines, and it dropped to the captain, who drilled it through a forest of legs. Raya beats low down to his and it's been headed down and headed in by Gabriel. Once again he scores against Tottenham. Kinski came and couldn't grab it, and Gabriel at the far post into the Tottenham goal, and with 5.5 minutes to go before half-time, this North London derby is all square. On halfway, Odegaard sprints forward, releases Trossard down the left-hand side. They've got bodies in the box here. Trossard goes alone. Trossard scores for Arsenal. They've turned it around in the last 4 minutes. Bissouma, the confident halfway for Spurs, presenting the ball to Odegaard, who released Leandro Trossard, raced into the penalty area. It's a cool, hard, low finish into the corner of Kinski's goal, and this North London derby's been turned on its head. It's Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1.
Second half about to get off and underway in North London at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal leading by 2-1. Crystal Palace 1-0 up against Leicester, by the way. But changes being made as well by Tottenham. Let's go back to our commentary team of Harry Symeou, Bradley Allen and Nick Godwin.
Yeah, underway for the second half, Phil, couple of seconds or so, and changes for Spurs in midfield. It looks as though Yves Bissouma and Pape Sarr have both been withdrawn, and sent on in their place is James Maddison and Brennan Johnson. So those are the changes. that'll involve a bit of a formation treat, you'd have thought. Bergvall will play a bit deeper, mind you. Maddison's currently standing alongside him as well, so Brennan Johnson obviously is going to play further forward. All very intriguing stuff as this second half gets underway, with the Gunners leading by 2-0. Here's Rice, given to Sterling, who has space in the middle of the field to move forward, and he's dashing towards the edge of the Spurs penalty area. Wide to Trossard, the scorer of the second goal. He has to find a yard of space. Into the box it goes, and Sterling shoots. It's blocked by Dragusin. Comes out at the edge of the penalty area, and Trossard again keeps it alive. Plays it into Partey and back to Gabriel. An awful lot of people still coming back from the refreshment concourses, Bradley, so our view is slightly obscured of what's going on that far side of the field. I'll tell you a few people who wouldn't want to put up with that, Bradley, but maybe that story's for another day. Back it goes to Saliba on the halfway line. Let's do the lineups as Spurs look to try and get rid of Arsenal's early pressure in this opening couple of minutes or so. Away down that right hand side goes Havertz, and he goes down, but he can't make anything of it, and Spurs have won it back. And here is a first touch for James Maddison since coming on. As I said, once we can actually see what's going on, I'll risk running you through the two teams. But to throw in the Spurs on that far side, which will be taken by Jed Spence in due course. David Raya is in goal for Arsenal. The back four of Urian Timber, Gabriel, William Saliba and Miles Lewis-Skelly. In midfield, Thomas Partey and Declan Rice, with Martin Odegaard further forward, Leandro Trossard, Kai Havertz and Raheem Sterling the most advanced players. Antonin Kinski's in goal for Spurs. Back four of Pedro Porro, Rado Dragusin, Archie Gray and Jed Spence. In midfield now, James Maddison and Lucas Bergvall, with Brennan Johnson playing on the right, Heung-min Son on the left. Dejan Kulusevski, I assume, is going to move into the number 10 position, with Dominic Solanke further forward. The bench for Arsenal: Neto, Tierney, Martinelli, Kiwior, Zinchenko, Jorginho, Marino, as Kinski has to get rid of this and manages to find Dragusin on the edge of his own penalty area. Sent forward for Porro, gallops over halfway. Kulusevski tries to make progress. Rice prods it out of play. The rest of the bench: Marino, Butler, Oyadeji and Cabia. And for Spurs, Austin, Reguilon, Richarlison, Maddison and Johnson, who are on. Lancashire, Moore, Olusesi and Hardy. Our referee is Simon Hooper. We are 3 minutes into this second half. Spurs trail Arsenal by 2-1, and Radu Dragusin has it at the back. Bradley Allen's alongside me. Bradley, your thoughts on those two Spurs changes?
Yeah, I think, with Sarr on it, the yellow card, maybe Basuma involved in the turnover of the ball, hence the decision to put Maddison on and Johnson a little bit higher up the pitch on this right wing, because Spurs have to really push here in this second half when opportunity presents it. Arsenal brisk start at the beginning of this second half. They obviously want a third and put themselves a bit of daylight between these two teams.
Here's Porro down the right. We're going to go to the King Power in a second, but Brennan Johnson has it on that right flank. Feeds it into Kulusevski inside the penalty area. Lovely twist, holds it up. Can't find a route towards goal though. Has to go back to Porro, who rolls it square to Maddison. Maddison thinks about shooting. Gets closed down though by Rice. Gets it wide to Porro on that right side. Back to Bergvall again. Porro on the flank, Bergvall once more, boos from the home supporters. Here's Son, pops up and shoots. It's deflected behind. I think it came off Solanke, who, perhaps anticipating a spill by Raya, kind of darted towards the goal. But it is a goal kick, and it's still 2-1 to Arsenal. And we will go, sorry Bradley, to the King Power Stadium. Leicester against Crystal Palace, Emma Jones.
And Crystal Palace have extended their lead. Eze's free kick found Mark Gahey at close range to volley it in. Leicester City 0, Crystal Palace 2.
For the National League, it's Sutton 2, Wealdstone 1. Here come Arsenal, but Spencer stepped in to win the challenge, and then Bergvall also manages to release Maddison through the middle of the field, and he goes wide to the left, and the Tottenham goal scorer Heung-min Son, who's running at the edge of the penalty area. He's got overlap from Maddison. In comes the cross. It's too close to Raya. Kulusevski tried to go for it. Solanke's claiming he was stopped from getting to where the cross went in. And now Spurs are trying to win it back again, and they have. Here's Son inside the penalty area. Just walked past Saliba, and then he tries to squeeze a shot off, which is quite tame, and it's gathered by Raya. All sorts going on, still 2-1.
Well, Spurs most definitely are going to push here. The referee, I think, is just going to ask Archie Gray if he's okay. Don't know if there was maybe a potential head injury there, but good overlap, 2v1 on Spurs' left-hand side. Son, substitute Maddison. His left foot cross lacked a little bit of power and quality. He wanted Johnson to nip in front of the goalkeeper, but a bit better, a bit more promising from Tottenham Hotspur.
Harry Symeou, our Arsenal reporter, is with us this evening as well. Harry, will Arsenal hunt down that third goal ideally?
It's going to be really interesting to see, because obviously they've prioritised control recently. They've had a lot of the ball. They've been able to slow games down to good effect, and the problem's been at the other end of the pitch. Now being in front, now having the lead, will they slightly adjust their approach? It's a really difficult position to be in, because Spurs have got so much attacking talent. You almost don't want to give them opportunities by continuing to be too aggressive. So I'm interested to see how this second half will unfold for Arsenal.
Sterling tries to wriggle away from Bergvall. Bergvall goes in strongly, and that is going to go out for a corner to Arsenal down that right-hand side.
Just having a word with the referee. He felt there was a little bit of contact on the side of his head from the challenge. He allowed advantage, credit to the referee there, and Bergvall, like you say, to the byline, slid in to try to keep the ball in play for Spurs. He's put it out. Arsenal corner. They'll take their time. The big guns are up from the back.
Well, Gabriel has now scored twice for Arsenal from corners, although it did take a deflection off Solanke. The effort earlier on in this game when Spurs were winning 1-0. The Odegaard to take it on that far side of the field, and he is going to send it left-footed into the box. Saliba standing with the goalkeeper. Gabriel already pushing Dragusin as this is lifted in, and it's headed wide by Saliba, I think. Havertz was there who got the touch, and I thought he was going to head into the top corner.
Yeah, he was almost past the ball. He hit the back of his head, Havertz. He didn't know a huge amount about it, I don't think. Off of his left eyebrow, just wide.
That goes in. Tottenham's task becomes almost impossible. Newcastle are now 3-0 up against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Anthony Gordon with the goal. Here comes Spurs. Porro and Son combining on that flank, and then Son wants a corner. He's not going to get one. It's going to be a goal kick, which David Raya is going to take. Once again, I mean, I always mention this with Spurs, but another game that isn't going to end 0-0, Bradley. It will be, at the end of this game, 102 Premier League games since Spurs had a 0-0. The record, I mean, it's the record in the Premier League era, I'm afraid. So this is a post-1992 record, which I know not everybody likes.
Yeah.
Because history in football certainly didn't start in 1992. But the record for the longest period of time without a 0-0 is held by Manchester United from May 1999 until May 2002. So they're on the way. Spurs are
great stat, Nick.
no reason to think necessarily that there's going to be a 0-0 anytime soon, as Raya goes long. 2-2 at Gander Green Lane now in the National League between Sutton and Wealdstone. And Boston Southend's been suspended because of fog, would you believe? This ball's played forward by Trossard, looking for Rice, but it runs away from him and out of play for a goal kick. You're listening to BBC Radio London. We're live at the Emirates this evening for the North London derby and all the pageantry and excitement and fierceness, as Bradley said, that this fixture engenders. If it all stays like this, Newcastle will go fourth in the table, so Chelsea will drop down a place after their draw yesterday. It's not perhaps as we predicted the race for Champions League football so far this season, Brad, with Nottingham Forest in there and Newcastle challenging again. Here it's a free kick to Arsenal on the halfway line, just inside the Spurs half.
I think perhaps the dropping of some of these Premier League points by the big teams is a factor of the international European football calendar, some of the injuries, better recruitment by some of the mid-table Premier League clubs, bridging the gap, so to speak, and an even greater level and depth to this wonderful competition.
Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, now we can say the England manager in post, because he took over at the start of the year, and he's watching on as Kulusevski brings this down on the halfway line and races over halfway. It's great work by Lewis Skelly back defensively, and then Kulusevski tries to continue his run, and he almost puts Solanke away. But Arsenal had it back and are roaring forward once again with Rice. They lead 2-1, but as Harry has mentioned, there is the threat from Spurs. Whatever you say about this Spurs team, however vulnerable they may seem, they've got attacking players who can hurt you. Here come Arsenal down their right with Timber. 2-1 the score to Odegaard, who races past Bergvall on that right flank. He's run a long way actually into the penalty area at an angle, and then Sterling tries to cross, it's blocked. Partey does cross, and Havertz's header is straight at the keeper, and the flag was up, so it wouldn't have counted, but Kai Havertz, unmarked, 6 yards out, puts it into the belly of Antonin Kinski.
Yeah, took up a good position, didn't he, Havertz? Ball give me on the way, Nick, back to you.
Here we go then with Arsenal, and Sterling tries to get hold of it, it's scrambled away.
Oh, what a miss. It's a sitter. Tottenham turned the ball over. It was played left side to Maddison. It come back into the box. Havertz unselfishly put it on a plate really for Sterling, and he completely scuffed his effort from 8 yards out. Mikel Arteta can't believe the opportunity.
Well, Harry, the script said that Raheem Sterling was going to play a decisive role tonight. He could have played a big role just then.
Absolutely, he could have put the game beyond Tottenham Hotspur, but they're coming forward now down the right.
They are, and Johnson shoots, it's blocked, it comes out to Bergvall. Try and bring you in again in a second, Harry, as Kulusevski collects it and is going to lift this in towards the far post, headed away by Timber, comes out to Spence. All of a sudden Tottenham are asking the questions. This game hasn't been completely Arsenal one-way traffic. Spurs have had their little spells. David Raya has made a great save,
and it's all too clear, Phil, and we Nick, and we know Spurs approach. They're going to attack, aren't they? They are not going to just be patient here. They're going to throw players forward. Solanke just offside, falling behind. There will be chances, and just the emotion, the exertions of that cup game against Manchester United here at the latter stages of this game, that just might test the psychological resolve of these Arsenal players.
Yeah, Harry, do you think that the price to be paid from Sunday isn't just about the kind of morale shattering, but also, it was a long day?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're Arsenal now, you're in this weird position as we've described. They need to go and put the game to bed. Raheem Sterling and Kai Havertz, two players who the jury's been out on, in fairness, with a couple of opportunities at the start of this half, and let's hope for Arsenal's sake that they don't live to regret those misses. But the key thing is they're getting into the positions, they're creating the chances, creating the opportunities. But as we've been saying throughout, Spurs have got that threat, and they're so dangerous on the break. You've got to be so careful.
Here's Sterling again down the right-hand side for Arsenal. Gets it back from Partey. Then finds Odegaard, who has to wriggle away from the attentions of Heung-min Son. Back to Odegaard again, just outside the centre circle. We've got just over half an hour to play. Sterling again with a bit of room on that right side, moving into the penalty area now. Clips in across, it goes over Havertz. It's going to drop to Trossard, who volleys it over from the edge of the 6-yard box. It's still alive. Spurs they didn't even go out and play that effort. Here's Trossard again. He shoots and goes down under a challenge, and the referee's going to give a free kick to Tottenham. Trossard was the first player to go down. He's looking for a penalty, and then there was a Spurs player who was fouled. I'm sure this will get looked at. It's Kulusevski on Trossard.
No, it's an air shot.
Dear. Yeah, he's made a right mess of that. Trossard, no penalty.
I need to get back to the driving range, Nick. That's one of mine at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the
technique
currently.
Well, that's
change for Arsenal.
I'm just thinking about your golf game actually for a second, Bradley. You've thrown me with your watching poor old Leandro Trossard kick fresh air. Then Arsenal are going to bring on a substitute. First change of the game for the Gunners with half an hour to go. Them leading by 2-1, and Arsenal still pressing and bustling and doing all the things they should do in these circumstances. But Tottenham still carrying this potent threat at the other end of the field. It'll be Gabriel Martinelli who's going to come on, but first Arsenal attack. with Havertz on the right. Listen across, looking for Rice. Important header away by Porro. He knew that Declan Rice was behind him, and then Kulusevski just clips this into Trossard's arm, and the referee gives a free kick for handball. Here's the change, and it is Raheem Sterling who comes off. Harry Symeou, fascinating that his day's run. We're not going to see Sterling score against Spurs.
No, we're not. And to be fair, I think it's the right change that Mikel Arteta's making. I said to you guys before the game, I was surprised that Gabriel Martinelli wasn't in the starting 11. I know he's played a lot of minutes recently, but now especially, Tottenham have to push forward for the equaliser. And there are spaces in behind. Martinelli's exactly the player that you want on there. Trossard's looked the most likely to score for Arsenal all night, so I can understand why he's staying on. And Martinelli will go on that right-hand side, where he's performed quite well, in fairness, in the absence of Bukayo Saka.
Yeah, with plenty of time as well, Nick. I think he'll be licking his lips, Martinelli, won't he, for an opportunity in a 1v1 situation. Just a bit rusty, Raheem Sterling. He half threatened at the beginning of the game, but clearly lacking game time and match fitness, and I think that was evident in sort of more promising moments that he found himself in. Just didn't quite have that final ball quality.
And his last goal was in May of last year, we can say now, against Bournemouth for Chelsea, before his loan move in the summer, or in the earlier transfer window. Here's Havertz again, breaking into the penalty area. He's not that just too far in front of him, and Kinski swallows it up on the edge of his 6-yard area.
See, this is the thing here, Nick, where Spurs are now more normally jumping and pressing the ball themselves, while Arsenal are showing good quality, certainly through Partey, Declan Rice, and sometimes Lewis Skelly when he rolls inside.
Oh, Kinski with a little...
They're playing through the press with quality, and there are then these attacking moments, like Harry said, for these Arsenal players. Now they have just got to, in the final third, find the goal, the quality, and the cross and finish, because they will get that chance, that third goal, and put this one to bed if they find that.
Tottenham get it back to Kinski, who has sliced that clearance, has he, or is he meant to draw it wide? No, he actually found Porro, to be fair to him, and Porro's hooked it over the top, and Lewis Skelly's got Brennan Johnson for company, and Johnson's got a little touch to take it away from the Arsenal fullback, but it's tidied up by Gabriel towards the halfway line, and then there's a little nudge by Porro, not much on Trossard, but a free kick to Arsenal 10 yards inside their own half of the field. Yeah, he's just another 18-year-old actually, Miles Lewis Skelly, we should highlight. There are 3 starting 18-year-olds on the field of play in this game, remarkably. This is his first ever North London derby, but he is from this part of the world, so I can't imagine he's had to be educated.
Homegrown player through the academy and the youth teams. He has tended to play more as a number 6 and a holding midfield, but with his quality, awareness and confidence on the ball, with a really nice soft left foot, he's adapted his position and he's fitted seamlessly into this left back slot.
Raya goes long, drops to the edge of the penalty area, and Porro is going to lift this towards the halfway line. Solanke can't hold it up, comes back to Trossard, who clips it to the edge of the penalty area, nodded down by Odegaard, just behind Rice, who's managed to collect it anyway, and he tries to turn it across the face of goal, and Archie Gray heads it behind for another Arsenal corner away to our left.
They're expectant, aren't they, the Arsenal crowd? I tell you, he's been Arsenal's best player tonight. Nick, I know Harry mentioned Trossard. Declan Rice, I think he's been awesome. He sort of drove this Arsenal side. He really has been the heartbeat. Ball under his left arm here, coming across to this corner flag and deliver, taking great acclaim for the home faithful.
Rice with the delivery once again. Another reminder that Gabriel's already scored from one corner when he stole in at the far post with a bit of help from Dominic Solanke's ribcage. What have they got in mind now? Rice raises the left arm once again. Oh, this is drilled in towards the near post just for a bit of fun, and no Arsenal player was at the near post.
Madison, I missed it.
Porro now drills it forward. Bergval's after it.
Good start position. Brilliant from Raya.
Raya gets
the keeper.
Yeah, he gets to halfway virtually. That's where he cleared it. He was so high up the pitch, and there was no way that they were going to get on the end of it. If Spurs had moved it forward a bit quicker, maybe, but not in the way that the move was constructed. 2-1 to Arsenal. His son on the halfway line rolls it back to Gray, who goes back to Kinski once again. And he's going to ping that to the feet of Radu Dragusin away to our right-hand side. And Spurs continue to just bide their time and wait for those moments to arrive where they could possibly get back into it. Raya sweeps this away, not a great clearance. Maddison finds Johnson, wide to Porro on the right-hand side. Son's in the box, Porro's approaching the edge of the Arsenal penalty area. Into Johnson, who looks up, finds Kulusevski, bursts into the penalty area. Square for Maddison, who tries to shoot, but it just bounces off him, really didn't fast onto it as he would have wanted, and it goes through to Raya. But a threat from Spurs, yep.
Good play. In off the line from the right hand side, Johnson, Kulusevski onto Maddison. He might have even stayed on the ball and into the box and committed an Arsenal defender to a challenge there. He scoops it, but it comfortably bounced through to Raya.
Gabriel at the back gives it to Raya, who rolls it across his 6-yard box to take Solanke out of the game, and then clattered forward by Saliba, helped on by Havertz. The target is Martinelli, but he can't get hold of it, the loose ball. Lewis Skelly's just minding the shot, and Arsenal have it again on their left-hand side, fed into Rice. Spurs ever watchful, because Arsenal have powered forward so effectively at times during the course of this game. It's all over at the King Power, and a useful few points for Crystal Palace, Emma Jones.
They have beaten Leicester City by 2 goals to 0. Mateta early in the second half, a free kick from Eze to find Guehi to make it 2-0. It's now 6 without defeat away from home for Crystal Palace. It's now 6 losses in a row for Leicester City. Leicester 0, Palace 2.
Thank you, Emma. Big result that for Crystal. It was a big game at the bottom of the table, that was really. And Palace have emerged victorious. They go to West Ham on Saturday, and you'll be able to hear coverage of that game on BBC Radio London as well. We are nearly 3/4 of the way through this North London derby, and Arsenal lead 2-1. And well, Timbers tried to make some progress, but he's given it away. And here is Heung-min Son inside his own half of the field. Bradley? Where are Arsenal relatively happy with the way?
Yeah, I think they're pretty content. They're showing good control.
So it's up to Spurs to
the onus here is going to be for Spurs to take further risk, because it's not going to be that Spurs will want to get a goal back and even draw this game. With this manager, he wants to win this game.
Yeah,
he will still think with attacking intent it's not beyond them, but I think a third for Arsenal, as we keep stressing, and this contest would probably be over tonight.
Yeah, the Gunners would go second if they win. Everton 0, Aston Villa 1 in David Moyes' first game in charge properly of Everton. Ollie Watkins with the decisive goal. Arsenal have it on the halfway line. Spurs have retreated. Just waiting for another opportunity to use those forwards. They've got to keep the back door closed though, because another goal at this point for Arsenal, you would have thought, would put the game beyond Tottenham's reach, and Arsenal would secure another victory in their excellent recent record in this London derby. They've won 6 of the last 8 games between these two in the league. As Martinelli thinks about shooting, drives into the box, goes round one defender to the byline. He's been forced wide, and then he's won a corner in the end. First real contribution from Martinelli.
It opened up. The Spurs defenders backed off. You thought he was going to drive a shot across his body, hard and low from inside right position to the byline, blocked. Odegaard will take his time, another corner.
Odegaard striding across to take this. He's generally looked after the right-sided corners and Rice the left-sided corners. This one comes in with an in-swing to it. And once again, Anton Kinski in his Premier League debut with some instructions for that hard-pressed Spurs defence. Here's Odegaard's delivery, and it's fly-hacked away by Lucas Bergvall. It almost reaches Son on the halfway line, and Son is given a little nudge by Rice. Free kick Tottenham, 15 yards inside their own half of the field. Just looking at the bench of Spurs again, I mean, those are the two. Well, there is Richarlison.
Yeah,
there is that unknown quantity almost.
They could go 2 up top, couldn't they? They could put young Mikey Moore on, ball carrier, dribbler, put him out on that left-hand side. Spence trying to drive forward. He's done well here centrally, coming across the pitch, and that's a lovely ball. If Johnson can keep it in, not quite.
Oh, it just changed. It picks up pace off the surface as it bounced.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, that's where Spurs are. They've got Brennan Johnson, they've got Son, they've got Kulusevski. Moments like that are going to impact. Well, they could hurt Arsenal, sure. They haven't hurt Arsenal on this occasion, but they could. There is much discussion on that Arsenal bench, Harry, away to our left. Can you take us inside that discussion? What might those Arsenal coaches be cooking up?
I'd imagine that they're a little bit concerned about the spaces between the midfielders at the moment. The gap between Declan Rice and Thomas Partey is huge, and Spurs have got so much room if they can pick the right passes to create, particularly down their right, Arsenal's left, where Gabriel is having to marshal that channel on the left-hand side because, of course, Lewis Skelly likes to go wandering. That's what he's in the team to do. But there's just too big of spaces for a team that are leading in this game, and I can't quite put my finger on why. Is it tired legs?
Yeah.
First half they gave a lot of energy.
I think what the Arsenal coaching staff as well will have one eye on the lack of Lewis Skelly's experience here and the fresher legs of Johnson, and if he gets a run at the fullback, they want him to be challenged. He's played determined, he's had an excellent game this evening, the youngster, but will he be able to last the duration here? And Spurs might look to work the ball outside this side of the pitch to get at him.
Well, here's Spence down the left-hand side. There's no immediate remedial activity as far as changes are concerned yet from an Arsenal perspective, but that could be in the works. Tottenham are on the attack. Here's James Maddison, gives it to Porro, rolls it wide to Kulusevski on the right-hand side, into Porro, edge of the box, wide to Johnson, low cross coming in, goes behind Solanke and too far in front of Son. Again, that drops to the right Spurs player, David Raya could have been busy. The other end, here's Havertz trying to get the better of Gray. Brilliant.
Should have been stronger, Havertz. Son sort of come to the edge of the box. I think if he'd have sort of held his position slightly off the cutback cross from Johnson from the right, that was the point I was making. He just got on the outside of Lewis Skelly there, but good build up from Arsenal. Control again from them, just to take the sting and the momentum out of the Spurs moment.
18 minutes to go. Gabriel just has to get rid of that promptly on the edge of his own penalty area, and he does it. Arsenal's next game is at home to Aston Villa, then they're at home to Dinamo Zagreb in the Champions League, then they're off to Wolves.
Always lucky Partey.
Conceded heavily today. Partey's just got away with that, with Maddison close to him, and then it's been given away, and here's Solanke into the penalty area, onto his right foot, great block, it might come back to Solanke. More great stuff from Gabriel with that vital intervention. He's hurt himself, but Arsenal have cleared their lines, and Declan Rice is bearing down on the edge of the penalty area. Dragusin with him, onto his right foot, shoots it, hits Kinsey in the chest, and bounces away to safety. That could have wrapped the points up for Arsenal, but the Spurs goalkeeper got something in the way at the other end. Solanke nearly had a sight of goal. Here's Martinelli now for Arsenal on the right hand side, into Odegaard, forced wide, has another go. Odegaard drives it, and Kinski tumbles on it and gathers the ball.
Crazy spell of football.
Everybody breathes again.
Yeah, basketball game. There goes Spurs in the other direction. There's going to be some tired players, and Nick, we've still got 17 minutes of normal time in this one.
Here's Maddison in loads of space, 25 yards from Arsenal's goal, thinks about shooting, goes wide to Son on the left. He manoeuvres the ball infield, finds Kulusevski, who's challenged by Rice, but Kulusevski's hung on to it. Back to Son again, on the corner of the penalty area. He's been shackled by Martinelli, so he goes back.
They've just got to probe. They've just got to keep moving the ball here if they possibly can. Arsenal have retreated and banked up. The crowd are trying to help them. What a staging of the game this is at.
Son tries to funnel that forward to Maddison, but he can't get on the end of it, and it's through to Raya. And Spurs have had these little spells with Arsenal's dominance and Arsenal's threat. Every now and again, Tottenham have just asked a few questions, but they've got to score when they ask those, because it's not very often.
No, and while it's 2-1, Nick.
Yeah, exactly, because it's not as though the back door is firmly closed at the other end of the field. It's breathless, Harry. We should expect nothing else from these contests, though, and it's brilliant that with 15 odd minutes to go, it's still very much in the balance.
Absolutely. I do think, though, if Mikel Arteta doesn't make a change soon in that midfield, he's going to live to regret it, because we talked about it a few minutes ago. The spaces are too big. You just saw Arsenal have an attack down one end of the pitch, and that's the first time in 2 seasons I've looked up and and seen 5 Arsenal players not tracking back. That shows tired legs, because this team have got the work rate, they've got the right attitude. So I think either a Marino or Jorginho probably need to come on. It looks like Kieran Tierney's actually stripped and ready to come on. That might be a replacement at left back, or he might come on as a 5th defender.
Yeah, there might be a formation change possibly, or in that left full back position. But as we highlighted between us, the exertions of that cup tie, and that was some game here, wasn't it, at the weekend?
Back it goes to Kinski once again, who plays it short to Spence, who gets closed down quickly. And Spence has just about scrambled it away, but now he's given it away. And here's Timber into the box. Havertz tries to turn, and Gabriel Martinelli volleys it into a host of bodies. It's blocked by Gray. Wow. Spurs are hanging on.
I'm not sure how Spence got out of that. He didn't really. He was triple teamed, turned the ball over, and Arsenal once again failed to capitalise inside the Spurs 18-yard box.
Leandro Trossard is coming on to be replaced by Kieran Tierney. So do you think this is a formation change, Harry?
Yeah, it looks like it. Kieran Tierney will come on, and I think he'll play as a sort of 5th defender. We know that Kieran Tierney's got the energy to get up and down the pitch, and he's a really good deliverer of the ball as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he made runs forward down that left-hand side, but it's Mikel Arteta just going a little bit more conservative down the side, but he really feels there's a weakness on at the minute.
Tierney on, Trossard off. Tierney goes straight into the Tottenham penalty area because Arsenal have a throw level with the edge of the Spurs box. Odegaard trying to carve out some space and then reeling away from it is Timber, and he's going to set it, but no one can get on the end of it for Arsenal. There was a stretch by Rice, cleared away, and then goodness gracious me, I think Gabriel decided he was going to try his luck from 25 yards. That's come down with snow on it, and it's still 2-1. Again, it just felt like Arsenal didn't seize the ball.
That actually will make the Arsenal crowd nervous. I think Richarlison is going to come on here. So I think he's done well on the challenge, and he's broke. Oh,
that's a foul. Down. Yeah, that is a challenge on the edge of the centre circle, which
clumsy by the Arsenal defender.
The referee was right.
Like Harry said, there is some really tired Arsenal midfield and defenders here. You know, Manchester United had half-pitch counter-attacks, didn't they? Yeah, and that's taken its toll a little bit. You can see that from a physical point of view. Arsenal don't want to keep having to make these runs when Spurs risk, push and commit players, which they clearly are going to do.
We're going to see the first sign of Richarlison since November against Aston Villa for the remaining 13 minutes of normal time plus whatever the referee decides to add on. Stupid Son's coming off, the first goal scorer. He's sent on his way, and Richarlison makes his way onto the field. Not scored since the AZ Alkmaar game in October. His last Premier League goal was against Liverpool in May, but he's had a couple of months out, in fact more than a couple of months, 2.5 months out with injury. He comes back on to play on that left-hand side of the Tottenham attacking front three. By the way, I have to say I made an error with the last red card in this competition. It wasn't Eric Lamela, it was Emerson Royale. How can I ever forget Emerson Royale getting sent off? I think he got sent off every other week virtually. That was a couple of years ago, so there has been one more recently than that. Here's Bergvall breaking forward into the Arsenal penalty area, turns away from goal and uses Porro. Back down the line for Bergvall, Porro's overhits it, and he knows he's messed that up.
Heavy pass. Bergvall actually was in a decent position and he was a bit safe. He capped out and he played it back to the fullback, who then tried to replay the situation, and he's kicked it off the field of play.
11 minutes of the 90 to go. This is BBC Radio London, live at the 197th North London derby, and Arsenal lead 2-1 as they did at half-time. Leandro Trossard's goal currently making the difference. Son put Spurs in front. Gabriel not at Arsenal level, and here come the Gunners again. Dragusin has cleared that and been caught. Free kick to Tottenham inside their own half of the field. The longer this goes at 2-1, Arsenal will start to fret about what could happen late on. Remember, Late goals for Spurs are always big here. Spence bursts into the penalty area, but Tottenham goes to ground under a challenge. The Spurs fans howl for a penalty, but Simon Hooper says it's a goal kick, and Jed Spence popped up in a really dangerous position there.
But again, look at the Arsenal defenders running back inside their own 6-yard box. You know, he's got options, Mikel Arteta. He's got to consider it. Said about Lewis Skelly. Don't think there was enough contact there. It's a good reverse pass between fullback and centre half by Richarlison. Good energy from Spence. Bit of contact made, but not enough for the award of a penalty kick.
Lewis Skelly back up on his feet. He was the last man to rise after the Arsenal defenders dealt with that threat from Spence, and we are into the last 10 minutes. It is Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1. And Bergman has flicked that backwards into his own half. Gray goes all the way back to Kinski, who gets rid of that sharpish. And Johnson controls it, and it's been lifted over the top by Kulusevski. Maddison made the run. Arsenal clear. Here's Porro, feeds it down the Tottenham right for Lucas Bergvall, the man who scored that brilliant late winner against Liverpool. Helped on now by Kulusevski, shoulder to shoulder with Gabriel. Gabriel so accomplished at that, though, gets his body between him and the ball and just shepherds it out for a goal kick and turns and punches the air.
Yeah, that was wildly celebrated, wasn't it? Amongst the Arsenal crowd. That clock's ticking. I think they know they've got to help these players, these fatigued players, over the line and keep the scoreline as it is in this North London derby. Still think there's an incident in this one, Nick. Something's going to happen here.
Oh, you're not wrong.
It can't be a dull end to this one. No chance, Harry. Not with these two teams.
It can't
and these two
out.
managers.
The Spurs will keep going, as we know. They've very little choice. It's only one win in 8 for Spurs in the Premier League. Arsenal, if they win it, will go second. Cut the gap to Liverpool to 4 points. Liverpool will have a game in hand. That Everton match is going to have to manifest itself at some point. But all eyes on events here at the Emirates on BBC Radio London at the moment. Here's Gray forward to Porro in the centre of the field, turns away to Bryce. He's guided that out to Johnson on the right hand side. The substitute moves infield and finds Bergvall.
He's had a super game, Bergvall, the 18-year-old.
Yeah.
His running capacity has been really evident. Another really good performance from the youngster.
Wants the ball all the time, doesn't he? Here's Porro, lifts it into the box, headed away by Partey. It's going to go out for a Tottenham throw. Now, if this was Tamworth, Bradley, we know what Mr. Tonks would have in mind for it.
Mr. Tonks, after his sandwich delivery, this would be. He's in the mix-up.
Well, Porro's played it short, it won't surprise you to hear. Maddison has it by the corner flag. He's going to lift this into the box, and Raya comes and gets it, juggling almost.
Pat Jennings.
Yeah, and now Richarlison went with him, and Richarlison claims he's been struck in the chest. Raya, I think, is going to live to fight another day. But yeah, there was very Pat Jennings, wasn't it? Led with the left arm, and then claimed it with the right. Still something left bubbling away that we haven't detected in the game, perhaps. 2-1 is the score, and Raya is going to clear this one. I think a free kick for a foul by Richarlison in the end. And the ball goes long into the Tottenham half of the field. Havertz lets that bounce. Martinelli nods it on. Tidied up by Spurs. Here's Spence, who's really enjoyed getting forward for Spurs down that left-hand side. And he's made progress again on that flank, and he runs into Timber though. And now there's a bit of space for Odegaard to work with down the right-hand side. Tierney's free on the left. Here's the substitute, approaching the edge of the penalty area. Rice on the outside. Tierney squirts it into the box, and there's a chance for Odegaard, and it's a brilliant save. No, is it a save or is it a goal kick?
It's
wide.
Of all the Arsenal players, you would have wanted it. Oh, it's a poor play out from Spurs.
They've sorted it out. You can't look. Honestly,
managed to keep
you can't look down I was just going to write down Odegaard miss. That's all I was going to do. Could Spurs just hang together defensively while I write that down? Answer, no. Here they come down the left. Richarlison. Solanke making his way into the penalty area. Richarlison's going to fire it in low. Solanke goes for a brilliant challenge by Gabriel, who got there just as Solanke was getting ready to pull the trigger. It's a corner.
Yeah, clever cross. Spence did one of those outside the right foot first half that Solanke almost got to. Same again, off the back of the defender, trying to dart across him. Good defending from Arsenal. They want to make a double change, exactly like Harry predicted here. Maddison in front of the Spurs travelling support will take this in-swinger.
Marino and Zinchenko look as though they're coming in now. Bergvall has gone down inside the 6-yard box, having tangled with Lewis Skelly. He's been pushed away by Dragusin. Now, how badly hurt is Lucas Bergvall here? Well, it's just a little tangle, isn't it, really? I don't really think Bergvall is in mortal peril. But he will get up, an order will be reimposed, and they'll make this change, and there'll be a corner. And it all continues to canter away with 85 and a half minutes on the clock. Maddison with this corner when it eventually comes in once the referee is told. To be fair, the two 18-year-olds out there, blood is running high, I think it's fair to say. You need Simon Hooper to just tell him to calm down and grow up, which all 18-year-olds love to hear, I believe. That's exactly how to get the best out of an 18-year-old. Here's the change. Lewis Skelly is coming off. Who was now there's a full-blown row erupting.
Yeah.
And yellow cards are being shown to Lewis. They've got to get him off. Lewis Skelly. He tangled there with Brennan Johnson. Zinchenko comes on for him.
Number 17, Alex Zinchenko.
So that's a straight swap, really. And Lewis Skelly is basking in the adulation of the Arsenal fans, hyping them up. And Rice is coming off as well.
To be replaced by 23,
Marino. Wearing 23. Well, it's all part of the show, isn't it, on a night like this? And he's still going. The Islington-born Miles Lewis Skelly, giving it plenty as he walks around the pitch. The last thing that happened to him is he was booked. But Tottenham have a corner. There are 3 minutes left. Maddison whips it in, headed away by Marino. Porro heads it back into the mix, and now they can counter-attack Arsenal. And Dragusin is desperate to haul down Saliba, but he's kept going. And here goes Martinelli down the left-hand side, bursts into the penalty area. On the overlap is Zinchenko. Across the box it goes, and it's put wide and out of play for a throw in the end. Cleared by Spurs. Chaos, still 2-1.
Yeah, counter-attack. The red arrows away to our left-hand side. Credit to Spurs for mustering the energy to sprint 70 yards when Saliba started the counter. Fresh legs of Zinchenko, but Spurs got back to the 6-yard line and cleared away the substitute. No surprise, no rush on this left-sided throw-in.
Time is slipping through the hourglass, and Arsenal maintain their slender lead. Here's Saliba at the back, who just drills this forward into no man's land. Really.
Go. Spurs have got to push here.
Kinski bowls it out to Gray, and the next big question is how much longer will Simon Hooper add on? That's a foul by Timber on Richarlison. The two of them butt heads almost, and the free kick is played short. We'll find out how long will be added on in just under 2 minutes. We've had a load of substitutions, we've had a couple of injuries, we've had a couple of to-dos in the penalty area as well, so there will be time. Arsenal coming forward though with Timber, and fed in field by Odegaard. Timber has it again. Odegaard wants it. Here he is, corner of the Tottenham box, moves in field. Martinelli gives it back to Odegaard, who has to really stretch to keep it in play. And it's gone out for a goal kick in the end. He couldn't keep it in play. But as you say, Spurs, who like to play their way out from the back, do they just try and get it forward a little quicker maybe?
Yeah, I think although Richarlison is on that left-hand side, Arsenal still quite high here in their 4-4-2 shape. Timber so far against the former Everton striker has done quite well. He's just sort of bundled through. Can Spurs switch to play? Johnson may be out on the right here.
Yeah, fed by Solanke. Here's Brennan Johnson, right side. The red and white shirts pour back into their own third of the field. Johnson goes back to halfway. Spurs have it. Sort of in attack mode briefly. We haven't seen them in this mode much. It's with Gray on the halfway line and Spence on the left. Raucous noise inside the Emirates.
These are the moments, Nick. These are the minutes at the highest elite level of football.
Richarlison's cross, and it goes all the way through to Raya, and again Gabriel just gave Solanke a little nudge at that critical moment. Raya falls on it, and it's still 2-1, and we'll find out from our fourth official how long will be added on right now. 5 minutes. 5 more minutes.
Yeah,
about right. Multiple substitutes. One chance, methinks, for Spurs.
Well, you said that these are the minutes where you get graded on games like this and moments like this. It's a throw in the Spurs on the far side. They were rowing about all sorts of things, but
I think interestingly as well, probably best ask Harry here. You know, for Arsenal's dominance in this game, and you have to give them credit for that. Ultimately, the defining factor is the stubbornness of their defence and another set play and a corner on the scoreboard. Yeah. That may prove to be the difference ultimately, and that is what Arteta has drove this season, and it might get them to the Premier League title come May. It just might, Nick.
Absolutely. You look at this Arsenal team, they've been nowhere near their best all season really, but they're leaning on those strengths that you mentioned, and it's what's keeping them in it at the minute.
Here's Timber down the right for Arsenal, gets dispossessed. Tottenham try and play out from the back. They've not got out very much. The referee has spotted a foul. It's a yellow card for, is it Marino? Free kick to Spurs, which they take in a hurry, in too much of a hurry. I think Marino went in the book there. He certainly blew the whistle once and brandished a yellow card. We're into the second minute of 5. It was Gabriel who was booked. He was waving cards all over the place, Simon Hooper. Here comes Spurs down their left. It's with Richarlison. He's going to have to chase this himself, but you'll know Spencer's popped up and races towards the edge of the penalty area. Saliba with him, and Martinelli goes back to Richarlison with an opportunity to cross here. He's picked out Porro on the edge of the Arsenal box, makes his way into the penalty area, left-footed cross, and Solanke with the bicycle kick effort. He gets it all wrong. Very difficult, almost impossible to score, and it's gone wide, and it's a goal kick, and Arsenal continue to protect this 2-1 lead.
Yeah, the switch of play actually was very good, and Arsenal were a little bit lopsided for the moment, but Porro's decision to not go on the outside and check back, the Spurs attacking supporting players have gone beyond the ball. He then curled it in with his weaker left foot. He's behind Solanke, and he needed a Wayne Rooney-esque overhead kick there, didn't he, Solanke, to get it on target. Nigh on impossible.
Yeah, to hit the target from that angle would have been quite the technical feat. We've had 2.5 minutes of the 5s. Zinchenko sends this forward. Kinski comes off his line and grabs the ball on the edge of his penalty area. He bowls it out, and here's Jed Spence down the left. Thought he was going to get away down that side once a few moments ago, but not on this occasion. And he's played it infield now for Lucas Bergvall, who is starting to move Tottenham forward once again. Arsenal on the brink of going second in the Premier League table once again, if they can hang on to this narrow lead given to them by Leandro Trossard at the end of the first half. They've had the better of the game, they've had the majority of the possession, but Spurs have always carried a threat, and Arsenal have not been able to muster that third goal that would have given them a bit of breathing space, which is why the last couple of minutes are a little bit tense. Back it goes to Kinski, who's a long way out of his penalty area.
Yeah, Dragason's pushed up. This is it, Nick, into that last minute, pretty much.
Kulusevski with the high ball, Dragusin the target, flicks it on, controlled now by Maddison on the edge of the penalty area. He's been closed down. He's managed to roll it wide to Kulusevski, and Porro has it on the right. He shoots, and it's pushed behind by Raya. He got a hand to it. It might have hit the post anyway, but Raya could take no chance. It did hit the post. He didn't touch it.
No
goal
touch.
kick.
He just slashed at the ball, cut across it, Raya probably, his near post had it covered, but the width of the post to Arsenal's rescue.
Well, we're in the last minute of the 5 that Simon Hooper has said he'd add on. Arsenal will look at the league table on the way home and see themselves 4 points behind Liverpool, having played a game more, if they can hang on for the next, 20 seconds or so. David Ryan's taken so long over this goal kick. It will be a bit more than the 20 seconds. Lofted downfield and headed on by Marino, who then tries to help it into the Tottenham half of the field. Pearl will get it back to Kinski, and Tottenham need to move now. Long ball forward by Kinski. Might drop to Dragusin, who's gone forward. Finds Kulusevski. There are seconds left. Kulusevski on the right hand side, faced by Marino. Puts it onto his left foot. Gets closed down. Uses Bergvall. And now Porro, who sends a cross into the box. Headed away by the flying Gabriel. Drops to Gray on the halfway line. We've now played for well over 5 minutes. Here's Richarlison down the left hand side. The ref can blow at any time. Richarlison lifts it high into the penalty area. Solanke goes for it. It's going to drop to Kulusevski inside the D. He's kept it alive. It's run loose, and then it's going to be funneled away. And that big roar tells you it's over. Arsenal have won the North London derby. They've done the double over Tottenham this season. Come on, Arsenal. And as the celebrations really get underway in the stands, a number of the Arsenal players have slumped to the floor. They know how critical this result is, because it takes them back into second spot. It moves them not quite within striking distance of Liverpool, but certainly within the margin of error. And if Liverpool do continue to make errors, can Arsenal pounce and reel them in? From a Tottenham perspective, it is now 1 Premier League victory in 9. They remain marooned in the bottom half of the Premier League table. They did take the lead through Jungmin Son though. Gabriel headed Arsenal level with 6 minutes of the first half to go, and then Leandro Trossard won it as we approached the end of the 45 minutes. It's another North London derby victory for the Gunners. They're getting pretty good at this these days. It's finished Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1.
BBC Radio London,
the home of London football.
So, Arsenal enjoying the North London derby. They go 4 points behind Liverpool. Newcastle starting to breathe down people's necks after a victory for them. Aston Villa with a win tonight as well. The bottom 5 are looking sort of stranded. Maybe 6, but certainly 5. And Arsenal are back feeling happy about themselves. Bradley Allen and Godwin, Harry Symeou have been there this evening. And Brad, Arsenal deserve that?
Yeah. Wild celebration here at the Emirates amongst the Arsenal fans. I think on their first half performance, they certainly deserve victory this evening. They had set plays, they had opportunity, they probably should have scored a third in the second half. Spurs made changes, they kept going, they kept pushing, but not enough on the evening. I've seen Arsenal now in a number of London derbies recently, Brentford, Crystal Palace, and the great Arsene Wenger once said, to win the Premier League, it's so tough, Phil, for any London team. The London derbies that you have to encounter, they've done it, and the double over their bitter rivals with this victory this evening. Are Arsenal contenders for the title? Absolutely. It's them and Liverpool right the way down the final furlong now. It's going to be some watch.
Big win. Still maybe need some signings, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think you could see tonight that they lack that cutting edge in front of goal. They might have taken some more of the opportunities that they created. The fact is, at the end of the game, some of those Arsenal players were dead on their feet. Mikel Arteta had to lean on the squad. He had to bring on Kieran Tierney, who's come in from the wilderness. He had to rely on Alexander Zinchenko, who's clearly out of favour. He was desperate tonight because people's legs had gone, and that's to be expected. This team have been playing games every 3 days pretty much all season. So it's completely understandable. But the important thing is tonight they've managed to dig deep. They've managed to hold on to the 2-1 win. And that is massive psychologically in terms of changing the feeling around the club, in terms of what it does to the Premier League table. It sends a message to Liverpool that when you slip up, Arsenal will be there to take advantage of it. And they're not quite there yet in terms of closing that gap, but it's another step towards it, and it's a massive night in the end for the Gunners.
Certainly is. For Spurs, Bradley, very briefly, well, there's some big games to come.
Yeah, they're just got to look at the cups, I think, Phil. You know, the Premier League top 6 looks some way away, doesn't it? I think mathematically another difficult game against Everton up at Goodison at the weekend, Europa League next week, and obviously back up at Liverpool for that semi-final second leg as well.
Yeah.
It's relentless for Spurs. It's not going to be any easier, any fixture. They've somehow got to pick themselves up and find a way to go again.
Bradley, Harry, Nick, thank you so much indeed, to Emma and Neil as well, and to Lauren Moore back here at BBC Radio London. Thanks for your help. It's The Late Show next. Reaction to this in breakfast tomorrow and from 6 tomorrow night.